Hello, may meet. So this is going to be a tarot reading. The uh, Quran this time doesn't want me to say her username, and of course I will respect that. The question is about the current love interest. She's having a long distance relationship, and she's asking, and it seems to have cooled somewhat. And she's asking me for advice. Now, first, before I even begin with the cards, let me say that with relationship problems like this, my first recommendation is to communicate with your boyfriend. If you say he does not respond to your texts, I would try to call him or basically try to get in contact with him and ask him straight up if something is wrong. Because when it's just that he doesn't respond to texts, it can be anything from his phone being broken. It can be him having some sort of problem. So I would say that the first thing you should do is try to get into contact with him by phoning him, by sending him an email, anything like that, and ask him why he doesn't respond if anything is wrong. You should, of course, not be very confrontational. Just ask him politely if there's some reason why he has seemed to have been distant. Yeah, let's get on with the reading. And I'm using the Cosmic Tarot deck, and I'm going to use a simple horseshoe layout. And I'm sorry that I don't have something to film the cards themselves as they are laid out, so I'll just hold each card up for you. Okay, let's begin. The first card, the first position, is about the past. And in this position, we find the High Priestess. And this is card that stands for a very wise woman, stands for female feelings and so on. But here, when I got this card out, I sort of got a negative feel, and I am not really sure why. I hate to say such thing, but I have a feeling that you possibly have been burned by love before. Perhaps some lover of yours have been unfaithful, something like that. So you have a problem with trust, and that this basically negative baggage from some earlier relationship involving another woman has sort of tendency to block your current relationships. They have a tendency to get in the way, and that this is how the past, in a way, influences you. But at the same time, since this is a very feminine card, I have a feeling that you're feeling very much in love, but at the same time, you are a bit uncertain in the situation, and that might be negative baggage from the past. Then we have the second card, and it stands for the present. And here we have the Eight of Cups. And the cups, it that's the sweet of water. It stands for emotions and feelings, and the Eight of Cups very much stands for a love that's poured out, and that at least for the current time being, you're feeling very down about your relationship. You have very strong feeling. That's probably why you also contacted me. That this relationship is on the downfall, and currently it is definitely in the slumps. Basically, as you can see, it's a sad man sitting there with the cups fallen over, and so all the water has run out. And currently, you do feel that the relationship has cooled, and that it's definitely in the slumps. And then we basically have for the third position, which is influences. And here we have Five of Swords. And again, I feel that you perhaps overanalyze things. Swords are very intellectual. When you get it up in a situation like that, I have a feeling that you might be overanalyzing the situation. Now, I do not know if this overanalyzing is that you are overanalyzing how the importance of this long distance relationship compared to what your lover feel about it, or if you're overanalyzing the situation you're currently in. But I do think that when it comes to love in this way, you have a tendency to think too much. And then we have the fourth position, which is basically others' influences and so on. And here we have the Empress. And again, then I get the feeling of a woman's involvement. Now, I would never say that there is another woman involved or anything like that, because there could be, but it might as well be some other sort of trouble involving a woman, and it can be anything from one of your girlfriends telling you. And if you hear that sound, excuse me, that is a helicopter that's going over our house currently. So yeah, now this can be because this Empress, I sort of have a feeling also it might be advice from an older woman, advice from a mother, something like that, that gets involved in this situation. And next position we have the Two of Wands, and as you see here we have a young man, and I do get the feeling that he is the one that it's very much about. And when I look at this card, I sort of get the feeling that this friend of yours, that your dreams, hopes, and emotions about him might be different from reality. That you have built up your knight in shining armor, but that when meeting with reality, this might not be so realistic. So that while for you it definitely is very deep love, I have a feeling that you might be in love with somebody else than this young man is. And then we have basically the sixth card, which is basically an overlook of the situation. And it is the Four of Cups. There's a lot of cups here. And basically in tarot, when you read the tarot, if there's a lot of cards from one split, that becomes a very dominant sign. So there's definitely some love in the air here. And as you can see, I do think there are some. Say you had a fantasy castle in the background, and I do think that your relationship has a chance. And I do think that your friend has a good explanation for not being in contact with you. But at the same time, I do think that your relationship has deep seated issues that you need to work on if you're going to make this relationship work. Any relationship, especially a long distance one, has issues. And I do have a feeling that you need to lay the fantasies to the side and look at this young man through realistic eyes, and then form a relationship with who he is and not who you want him to be, if you get what I'm saying. And then we have for the seventh card, which is the outcome, we have the Queen of Cups. Now this is a good sign when it comes to a question about love, because Cups is the sweet of love, sweet of emotion, and I do think this. Um, how I would interpret this is that there's a very good chance that you can get your current relationship to work very well, that it will have a happy outcome. I also think that this can indicate that there is a chance that you have to look your relationship in the eye and realize that the boy you are together with is not the kind of person that you really, basically, that you were in love with the fantasy, not the reality. And if so, that you might uh, find another person that you will fall in love with that is more compatible with you and might be closer. In either case, I do think this indicates that at the end of the day, basically the outcome is that you will be in a loving uh, relationship, that things will go well when it comes to love for you. But like I said, you have to look at the realities. And looking at these cards laid out the way they are now, I sort of get the feeling that somebody's telling you constantly, look at this boy, he isn't who he says he is. And I'm not then saying that he's deceiving you or so on and so on. I think that perhaps you are deceiving yourself. That your mother or your aunt or a friend or something like that is giving you advice that you need to reevaluate the situation, and that you might not be listening too much. And but I do think that this man is worth looking at. I cannot here sit and say exactly why the relationship has cooled, but I do see that there is a trend here that you might want him to be something he is not. And that if you step back and allow him to be who he is, then either the relationship will end on good terms, and you will find another to love that might suit you better, or the relationship will bloom and become stronger than before. Currently, I do think he has a good reason for not contacting you. I do think your relationship is a bit in the slump, but it can be saved. That you need to work on this issue. You need to work on the issue of the fantasy of this relationship versus the reality. Fantasy of this man versus the reality. So yeah, there are two major arcana cards in this spread, which says that this probably isn't a major event, but both of those cards are feminine, which tells me that the issues are related to a woman. And I think that the issues very much are related to you and your fantasies about him, and that he might feel that some of the reasons why he's pulling away, and that some of the reasons might be that he feels that you want him to be more than he can be. So yeah, that is my reading. Like I said, I urge you to talk with this person. That is always the best thing. Say, we need to talk. I need to know why you have been so difficult to contact. Everything all right? And so on and so forth. Because my bet is that he can tell you better what's going on than a cartomancer on the internet can. So yeah, hope you have enjoyed this reading. Have a great day, and blessed be, and good luck with your love life.